All right, we're going to consider this video a little bit of a hardware catch-up video. There's been a lot of stuff to talk about this week, so I kind of wanted to come over here and just yap about some of it. That's what I do here. I covered on Game Ranks the PlayStation Slim, if you want to call it that. I have it here. I am going to hold it with my hands and not drop it. First impressions, I think like a lot of people, I saw the images online and I was like, ooh, I don't know about that. Like the break in the design with the line. Wasn't crazy about it, but once I got it and once I saw it in person, maybe it's just me because I am a stuffed goblin. I've talked about that before. I just, I admit it, I like buying stuff. I like material objects, get me excited sometimes. I think it looks way better in person. I don't even think it photographs very well, but just in person, having it on a table, I was like, this looks a hair nicer than the original, more bulky PS5. The only thing though is that I don't like the feet. I mean, they fit in sturdy enough, but they're clear plastic, and when it's sitting this way, which is how I have it because of how my setup is over here, you can clearly see that it has these arms. So it doesn't really have that like floating effect anymore, but again, it's design nitpicks. I'm just happy that it is reduced in size. That was my biggest complaint about the PlayStation 5, especially because like I like standing them up vertically. But the thing was so big that like vertically, no matter where I put it, it was either blocking my TV because I don't put my TV like up on the ceiling. I have my TV like eye level. So where my stand was, it just wasn't lining up. So I was happy to see it kind of get a little haircut, a little bit off the top, That being said, it is a refresh. I really think it's more of a move for Sony in terms of spending and manufacturing. It's not like, it doesn't feel like a total overhaul, like a PS3, like the life cycle of the other consoles, but this is what they do. And this is it. So chances are, if you haven't gotten a PlayStation 5, eventually, if you do, you might have one that looks like this. This isn't that exciting to talk about, though, in the grand scheme of things. I really wanted to talk more about the OLED Steam Deck, which Valve sent over for review. This is like a review test unit, but I've spent some time with it. I have a lot more impressions, actually, than I do on the Game Ranks video. The Game Ranks video I kind of have had to rush out because of deadlines and stuff, but I do really like it. The main gist is that it is a update. It is not a Steam Deck 2, but it kind of directly goes after a lot of people's complaints for the original Steam Deck, whether it was reviews, a lot of reviews knocked it, and just people I've seen in comments and stuff that were like, I'm not getting it because of this reason. The main reasons were the screen or the screen quality or the tech and the battery life. So Valve 100% went after these with these revisions, and I just think that's a really smart move. I really liked how they approached that, but then there's also a bunch of other little fun goodies in there if you're a nerd or if you are jumping from a regular Steam Deck to a slightly updated one. In terms of feel, little updates with how the buttons feel, and I didn't want to get too into the weeds on Game Ranks because it's a little bit more mainstream. You're talking to a bigger audience, but like tech-wise, they did change it up a little bit. It doesn't mean new graphics. It doesn't mean this thing has a new GPU or anything like that. But technically, there are some size changes, an overhauled motherboard, and all that more technical stuff. If you're counting frames, according to like smarter people like Digital Foundry and stuff, you're going to get a couple. But generally, where I noticed it was just like a zippiness to the menus. The menus feel faster. And then, of course, the biggest thing is battery life. I mean, you have even more control over the refresh rate now. You can go even higher if you want, but I always keep my settings very battery optimized. So I already had my battery in pretty good shape on my original Steam Deck. So here, the improvements on paper are good. You should get a couple of extra hours. I haven't felt it completely yet, just because I'm all over the place and I am charging it and stuff, but it does charge faster, that's for sure. And I do want to talk about one of the main things I did play on this. I tested out some stuff with it, like Spider-Man, The Witcher 3, but this is my machine to play some like indie, smaller stuff. And on the Game Ranks video, you may have seen some gameplay on this. It's called El Paso Elsewhere. This is a game I actually didn't get to talk about in a dedicated video, so if you spare me a couple of minutes, I had put this on my most anticipated list last year somewhere on this channel because it's kind of like an indie inspired Max Payne game. Like it is straight up Max Payne gameplay. It's third person shooting with a guy clip clopping around in a trench coat, and it's left trigger slow motion dive bullet time. Straight up. The weapon swap is on the top of the screen. You could dive through windows. The jump even feels kind of like Max Payne. Like it is so Max Payne, but it's got a fun, fresh, different thing on it. It's like a noir thing like Max Payne, but in kind of like a weird abstract kind of PS1, PS2 horror setting. And that really works. So, you're not really shooting men. And I think that's a little better, like, to this gameplay style, but you're shooting zombies that are running at you. You're shooting werewolves. You're shooting other, like, spectral things shoot, like, throwing magic at you. And it is really, really fun. It is very simple, very straightforward. There's like a couple of different level styles throughout the game. There's a lot to play through, and gotta go into it simple. You gotta understand it's an indie game, so you can click and save civilians. It feels a little cheesy, but really it's just the idea is to get to the end of a level and then come back and survive, shoot your way through it. And it's got really satisfying weapons. The pistols I wish fired a little faster, but it's just a good, light, simple pick up and play. You're not upgrading your character. You're not like basically doing anything other than running and gunning, diving in slow motion. And there's a little story interspersed throughout it. It's kind of like a lover's quarrel. Your character is named James Savage, and he's like a hard-boiled noir guy with really good voice acting, like really gritty, good voice acting. I was like blown away. And the writing, some of the quotes he says are really cool, but it's an emotional journey because it's like a lover's quarrel because his ex-girlfriend is like evil female Dracula that's going to like destroy the world. So now he's like, oh man, it's me. I'm up to the task. I did talk about this a little bit on the Friends Per Second podcast this week, but like I really like this aspect of the game because you have a good little story through line that feels like it has a little emotion to it. It's not just trying to be noir and gritty for the sake of it, but it still has all that stuff, all that cheese I like. And also the music. There's really good music here. Some hip hop, which is pretty cool. It's just quite a trip. It's not a full priced game. It's not the longest game, but like if you get some of those things, if you appreciate some of those things that I do, I really consider checking it out. And it ran perfectly on Steam Deck, so that's how I played through it to test it on here. With the colors, it really popped. OLED, that's really the thing. I love OLED. I have an OLED TV over here. I have OLED on the Steam Deck. I've seen people saying like, oh, good luck with the burn-in, but we've kind of gotten past the point with if you do some research, like OLED tech now is much better, and there's so much preventative stuff in place for burnout. As a person who is anxiety ridden, I still make sure to turn my TV off. I always am very careful, but generally I've gotten over that whole OLED burn-in thing for the most part. As long as I am at least somewhat keeping up on it and being active and knowing that there are things in place, I'm okay. I'm not too concerned about it. So I'm not really concerned about it on the Steam Deck. Things could come out. Maybe the quality of the OLED panel isn't great, and it does. I don't know for sure. I can't predict the future, but just OLED in general, over time, the longer I've had it, the more I've used it on various devices, I've gotten more confidence. Also, it is slightly lighter. If you hold both of them together, in my opinion, you feel it a little bit. It's not like, whoa, holy shit. But where I noticed was in bed. I do play it in bed. And like usually your arms here like this, laying in bed, just looking like that, right? Your arms get fatigued after a while, and I notice that a little less. So that counts for something. If we're talking about little minor personal things, that's it. Otherwise, I really like this device. Where this was a review unit they sent in, I really wanted to try to score the limited edition one that was available, and I didn't get it. But I very much like that clear technology and clear plastic handheld technology is coming back, because my Game Boy Color was that see-through clear purple, and I will never ever forget that. But speaking of handheld stuff, also it's the PlayStation Portal. That was one thing that GameRanks was trying to make a video on, but it does seem like it's sold out very quickly. Sony said it is completely sold out and to check back in December, but I'm just surprised. Either they manufactured 10 of them or there is a demand for this device that I didn't expect. I understand this device is like for some certain types of consumers, but I didn't expect it to like sell out like that. It's essentially, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but it is kind of like a glorified remote play device. I think the best thing it has going is that it has like basically a full DualSense on it, but it's for remote play. But I guess I just didn't realize how many people use remote play. I use it occasionally, but even with that, like I wasn't too personally excited about the device. Maybe on the other hand, it's just Sony fans excited for some new hardware, something to try out. I don't know. I didn't realize everybody was throwing $200 at this thing, but Long story short, I haven't been able to get my hands on one. I tried as soon as they went on sale and they disappeared like immediately. It was like buying a PlayStation 5 when those were first out in the wild. Remember dealing with the scalpers and the shortages and everything like that? So I guess in a way, don't underestimate the PlayStation Portal, maybe, because I certainly was totally thrown for a loop here. I think people had more of a hunger for this type of device than I expected. And again, like people can knock it. It does seem a little expensive, a little overpriced. And I know some people they're like, what? This is just for streaming your PlayStation? Why doesn't it do anything else? I totally understand that. I kind of feel that way as well. But ultimately, if I decide the device isn't for me, maybe it fits the need of some other type of consumer with a different gaming setup. I think options are always good. But yeah, all this stuff kind of snuck up on me. It was kind of like a lull in game reviews, and then all of a sudden, surprise new hardware, I guess presumably out for the holiday season. But that's about all I got for you this week. I'm sorry videos have still been a little short, a little slight. It's because I'm still technically moving in. You'll notice my background still isn't built out because I'm still moving in. I am a mess in real life. We are having some things fixed where we moved in, so that's been kind of disrupting things. But yeah, we're getting back on a little bit of a normal cadence, so thanks for sticking with me. Along with that, let me know what you think in the comments about this stuff. I know it's like this time of year, you might not want to spend money on anything. You're either strapped for cash because of the holidays or the state of the world. But if you are interested in some of these things, let me know what you think. Did the OLED Steam Deck catch your eye? Did you manage to pre-order that fancy, shiny special edition one? Do you have any interest in PlayStation Slim-ish or PlayStation Portal? Let's talk about this stuff, because I want to know if it's just me. Sometimes, really, let me know. But if you get what I'm doing here, if you like what I'm doing, I'm just talking, I'm just yapping. I touched some plastic things, and then I wanted to say some things about them with no script. If you like just hanging out and talking with me, clicking the like button does help. Thank you guys. But that's it. I'm Jake Baldino. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me.